Hi, and welcome to Humorist Hangouts. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorist magazine, and this is Humorist Hangouts, a fun little thing where a bunch of us come online, this live stream thing on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about this week's Weekly Humorist issue that just came out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard in people's inboxes, and thousands of people get it, and some of them open it, and then we talk about it, and we have lots of cartoons and fun articles to talk about, and we have two contributors from this week's issue on today. We have Josh Lorenzo and Ivan Ellers. Welcome. Thank you for coming on tonight to the Humorist Hangouts.
Thank you for having us, Marty.
Yeah. Pleasure.
Very fun. And this is Josh's first time on the Humorist Hangouts. And it's the first time you're ever getting to talk to you about anything. And this is exciting.
Sure.
I just see you on Instagram, and I just see you on the emails. And from what I know, I think that you're a Maryland person.
That's correct. Born and raised here in Maryland. Yep.
I was born in Mystic, Connecticut, but I was raised in Severna Park, Maryland.
Oh,
The old 21146, and I went to high school there, middle school, elementary school. I moved there when I was it was like 1983, 1982.
Right. Okay.
And so yeah, I love Maryland. Are you in the? I was in the Annapolis area.
Okay. So we're like I'm just about 20 minutes north of DC.
Okay.
So,
Oh yeah, going to DC all the time. My sisters are in Alexandria.
Okay.
Always going to the Smithsonian. Always going and seeing Indiana Jones's jacket and seeing Kermit the Frog, and you'd see Fred Rogers' sweater, and you'd see like things from the Wizard of Oz, and that's what they have in the Smithsonian that I would see every year.
Yep.
Also dinosaurs.
Go to DC anymore, Marty.
You know, you learn about history and things, but I really just went for the pop culture stuff that they always had in the Smithsonian.
That's right.
Like that's what I saw as valuable. Is like this kind of like bullshit, hilarious Americana, which I thought was the most important part. And then you can see from my own world, like this is what's important to me is behind me, and it's a Mad Magazine, Alfred E. Newman. It's a Voltron, original Voltron that I've had since I was a kid.
Is that Inspector Gadget?
This is the newest thing to the Insane Marty collection in the old studio here. This is an Inspector Gadget action doll from Galoob, 1983 Inspector Gadget action doll. And the story behind this, I just got this 2 days ago, Ivan. Good eyes.
Yeah. It's very tiny. I'm surprised that I got it right.
So I wanted this. I don't know if you guys had this growing up, but there was a store called Best. It was just called Best. It wasn't Best Buy. It was before Best Buy. It was just called Best. They didn't need two words. They only needed one word. Best. It was like before Supreme. It was just called Best. And it was like a general, it had electronics, it had housewares, but it had like the best toy department ever. Best. It had bikes, it had all the toys, it had everything. And they had this thing called the Best Catalog that would come out every holiday season, and the Best Catalog would come out, and it was all their hot products. And there was a toy section. It was the best toy, and you would go to the back, and there would be all the new hot toys coming out. And for some reason, I was obsessed with this Inspector Gadget action doll. And this is the box. So I really wanted this stupid thing. And this was the box. I finally found it.
Like the original one?
Yeah, this is the original box. So what happened was I was getting this when I was like 6 years old or whatever. And I knew that I was getting it for Christmas. And I knew where my parents hid the Christmas presents. So I wanted to visit the toy. I wanted to just look at it. I just wanted to look at my Inspector Gadget action doll. It has like his head like this umbrella comes out of his head. Like the thing is bonkers. It has so many cool.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's like a G.I. Joe, but for like nerdy comedy kids. Because Inspector Gadget was like a really funny show that was based on basically Maxwell Smart of Get Smart.
Yeah.
And I would go and visit the doll before Christmas, and I would just be like, "This is going to be mine. I'm so excited." And I got caught. I got caught going into my parents' room and into my parents' closet, and they were like, "Were you in?" And I got busted. And to punish me, my mom was like, "You're not getting the Inspector Gadget doll. We're giving it to your cousin Johnny to punish you."
No.
And I didn't let this go for years. Like this festered, and I bring up the Inspector Gadget doll like all the time. Like I was like, that was really harsh of a punishment. Like, come on, you could have. And I mean, cousin Johnny didn't give two shits about this thing. He never played with the Inspector Gadget doll. Like, look at this thing; it's ridiculous. So like years go by, and I look for it on eBay for like years. I have like an alert on eBay for a Gloob 1983 Inspector Gadget doll, and I come close to getting it. I always lose the auctions. I almost win. I always lose, and then I give up. And then the only ones I can find on there recently, $2,500 for this vintage Inspector Gadget doll. So I'm not buying that. And then other ones were all like 500, 400. And then one popped up that was like not unreasonable at all, and it was a complete doll and had all the pieces, and it was a buy it now. And I was like, this guy has no idea how much this is worth because it is worth a lot. Collectors who are crazy bought it, and it came, and I was like, I've never really taken it out of the box because I always had it in the box when I would look at it in the closet, and took it out, and it's wonderful. And I'm not going to touch it because I think I'll break it. But that's the story of the Inspector Gadget action doll.
That is quite a story, man.
Thank you.
You know, I heard about that store. I heard it's the Melania's favorite place to shop.
What, eBay?
Yeah, Melania Trump. No, the best.
Oh, it's
the best, isn't it?
The Be Best.
It is you got to be best. The Be Best catalog was the #1 catalog of the holiday season.
If you just happen to get that as a young person, she's like, "Be best, good."
It is good.
30 years later, he's got a platform.
Absolutely.
How did you feel when you took it out of the box?
Ivan, I was so excited when I just opened the box and like seeing the box, and this box is in great shape. Like whoever had this toy did not really. I mean, I lose boxes incredibly quickly. Like I was not good to my toys. The Voltron survived, which is rare. Like the Voltron is an all-in-one piece. And it has pieces that should have gotten lost. All of my other stuff, like my He-Man, and I had a lot of I had a lot of Transformers. They all got busted up. I have like pieces of Transformers. I have a full Optimus Prime, like an original Optimus Prime somewhere. And those are good because those old toys are metal. Like those are hard toys.
Yeah.
Those are made.
Did you get the name of the person you bought it from? Did it turn out to just be your cousin?
Wouldn't that be hilarious if it was Cousin Johnny? Cousin Johnny's like, finally, I found someone to buy this stupid toy.
I've been holding on to it for 30 fucking years.
Oh, man. Yeah. And it's got all these things. Like, I didn't know anything about, like, you can push a button and his, like, legs, you know, he extends. Like, he's crazy Inspector Gadget. Cool. His legs go, his hands go, his head comes up. He has, like, this crazy robotic neck. The weird thing about Inspector Gadget, though, is they never, like, talked about how he became a robot man, like what tragedy befell Inspector Gadget. Like Wolverine had some bad shit happen to him, right? Like, and then they put that ectoskeleton in, and like that was like traumatic. But Inspector Gadget's just like, hey, Uncle Gadget, and he's like, hey, Penny, hey, Brain, and he's like a robot man. Like, what happened to Inspector Gadget?
It's probably like a RoboCop.
Yes, exactly. He's like Murphy. He's like Murph.
Caught in a gang house and brutally murdered. Like that would be a great origin. It's a great origin story for Inspector Gadget. We need to see what happened. He was like on a drug mule, cocaine, human trafficking, drug, sting.
Who was that?
And then
did they ever unveil the villain in that cartoon?
Oh, it was it was just the hand, right? It was Mad. The bad guy was Mad, and he was like his hand and he had the cat, and the hand was always like petting.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then he would spin. Yeah, you never saw that. You never saw who had the hand.
My
Claw. It was called Claw.
Claw.
Yeah, we always suspected it was his boss.
Oh, the chief. Maybe.
Thought, when we were like 8, we thought his boss had the same voice as the criminal.
That's very good. That's pretty good problem solving there, Josh. That's very,
They're just sheep and had the same actor do 2 voices.
Probably it was everything was like Don Adams. It was like the same voice guy was doing the entire show.
Right.
And like Casey Kasem was like in the same studio doing Scooby-Doo or whatever at the same time.
Exactly.
Did you guys have favorite toys growing up?
I also had a little Voltron, but it was like probably 8 inches or so, and it was all metal as well. And it was such a cool toy. I still have it somewhere.
Those Voltrons were great.
Yeah.
And is anybody a Rick and Morty fan? Does anybody watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah, a little bit.
There was a great episode where he has like a Voltron spin-off, and he assembles all of the. I guess it's like a Voltron, and he gets all the pieces to his version of Voltron, and he gets to be in the Voltron, and he's like they're fighting crime with this gigantic super robot. Anyway, I digress. This week's issue. Let's take a look at this week's issue of Weekly Humorist. We have a fun cartoon here by Dan Misdia, which is the FBI, guns drawn, waiting for this guy to wake up. And he says, "We would have woken you up sooner, but you looked so comfortable."
That's a good one.
That's nice. It's a good. I like the detail here. I saw this detail later. And this is a nice little chandelier that we have in this kind of opulent mansion. Ivan Eller's right here at the top. How to deal with rejection like a professional. Very good.
Thanks for running that, Marty.
Of course.
I really like that piece.
It's a great piece. And there's so many funny... I love reflect on the fact that others who have found success are significantly younger or older than you, but no one is exactly the same age.
It's true,
It's very true. Welcome back, students. Here's your Fall of Humanity schedule by Catherine Shaw. This is funny and like super depressing and sad, but very funny. Students will begin each day by sitting in a safe space scream circle. Punching bags are available for students who require a physical outlet for their brewing range upon facing the harsh realization that existence past year 2050 is unlikely. Ouch. How to install an outdoor trampoline basketball hoop or anything else requiring assembly by Josh Lorenzo.
Hey, there you go.
Bravo. Yeah. Step 1, read the instructions. Step 2, ask yourself why in America the instructions appear to be written in Anglo-Frisian dialect from the 7th century AD.
I Googled that. That's an actual dialect, yeah.
That's an actual dialect. Everybody has to go out and get Greg Maxwell's Inferno by Keith James. It's very funny. The erotic Judeo-Christian modern-day Odyssey no one asked for. The audiobook just became available, and it's very funny. And we have a ton of free coupon codes for people that want the audiobook or who are Audible people. So we're going to do something on Twitter to be giving away free audiobooks of Greg Maxwell's Inferno. It's really funny. He's reading it. So Keith James, who's so funny, he's such a good writer. He does a ton of writing for McSweeney's, and he throws me a bone every now and then. And I publish his book. And he does the reading for this book, and he's so good at reading the character. Look at this big time cartoon by Mr. Peter Cooper, which is such a clever cartoon that got such interesting reactions on Instagram. So it is reproductive rights protests, it is vaccine mandate protests, and they're saying my body, my choice, and they're saying get your own damn sign. And it was a really good, interesting cartoon because either side takes it as a cartoon for their side.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what happened. Yeah. Like I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, that's clever," but I was looking at it from my side, and then all these anti-vaxxers are like, "Yeah, fuck it, fuck them," and I was like, "Oh, oops, that wasn't my intention at all." Oh well.
Yeah. Those are the really good cartoons that can do that. It's so smart.
And it was so simple. It was a perfect. This is an ad for the event that we are currently having. Welcome to Humorist Hangouts, everybody. This was an article by Kit Lively, most commonly accessed FAQs on the Farmers Only website. There's a lot to like about these guys, but ultimately we just didn't click. Any chance you could just sell me a dildo that's been spritzed with Stetson cologne? Kit. This was a funny mini episode of the Cartoon Pad podcast that we had this week with Bob Eckstein and Michael Shaw. And they didn't have a guest. They usually have big people like Peter Cooper or they've had tons of people. Who am I thinking of? But they haven't had Ivan yet. But they've had we had like Nick.
Bob.
We're gonna have Ivan on. I told him we need to get some young blood in there. I mean, we've had Sam Gross, we had Nick Downs, we've had a ton of just like incredibly iconic cartoonists. We talked to Ellis Rosen recently, so he's more in the younger crowd. Mm-hmm.
And what's his name? Matt Diffie too, right?
We talked to Diffie. Diffie's so funny. Diffie and you hang out.
Yeah.
You have a little fun. You have a little fun group with him and like Lars.
So smart. Yeah, he's a really smart dude. Lars, and Lonnie Millsap. We all hang out, get food and drinks. It's a way to go.
It's the way to go. All these cool Los Angeles people, Josh, Lorenzo.
Yeah,
we're missing out on this, on the fun in the sun that they're all having.
It doesn't hit Maryland yet, Marty.
No, it doesn't hit Maryland yet.
Yeah. Do you call your area the DMV?
I don't. My kids do though. Yeah.
I hear all the young hip people talking about the DMV.
Yeah, I can't relate.
The DMV. I never called it the DMV. Yeah. I guess if you're in Delaware, they call it Delmarva.
Yeah,
Delmarva.
Yeah.
We call it the Delmarva Peninsula.
Yeah, when we vacation in Delaware, we try to be cool. We're like, it's the Delmarva, and people look at us like we're freaks. But it's okay. I mean,
I go down to Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Yep.
That's where I go.
Yeah.
I think I'm heading down there like this weekend.
Yeah, it's great. It's not really a party city, but it's okay.
Oh no, it's so boring and quiet. I love it. I have a little beach cruiser that I bike around.
You guys avoiding the storms coming through?
Yeah,
are there storms?
Isn't there storms coming through?
There's a tropical storm out in the ocean right now, but some rough surf. But I don't think it's going to hit us or anything. But we were there for like a week, and the boardwalk's like a block and a half. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice. You're right down in downtown Bethany.
Yeah.
We have people watching. If people want to watch, who are watching, if they want to chat, there is a chat feature, so you can chat and we can see it and put it up on the screen. So feel free to.
How many people do we have here today? We had 6 last time.
We have like more. We have like that now. We get more on the replays, Ivan. I wouldn't worry so much about the live. So the Cartoon Pad podcast this week is funny because they don't have a guest. It was just Bob being angry about Michael Shaw's appearance on a competing cartoon podcast. And he wasn't mad that he did it. He was mad that Shaw seemed so much more likable and funny on the other person's podcast. He was like, why aren't you as funny and clear and congenial on our podcast? And he said, I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to be a solo show.
Oh.
And the whole thing was hilarious and fun. And people should listen to that mini podcast episode of the Cartoon Pad. This is a funny cartoon by Scott Mazer. Do you guys know him?
Mm-mm.
I feel Kit reacted immediately when he saw Scott's cartoon, and he goes, "Oh my God, Scott Mazer! I've been doing cartoons with him forever. He and I used to do Hustler at the same time, 15 years ago."
Wow!
So his style is this character with this funny nose type shape, and they all look like that. So if you've ever seen this cartoon, I guess he's been in the Playboys and the Hustlers, and I don't know if he's ever been in a New Yorker, but he sent me a bunch of great cartoons, so I have a whole bunch that I'm going to go through. But I thought this was so funny. This is this big jar on the deserted island. He says, "I'm saving this one for my novel."
That's very good.
It's very good.
He's got the hidden penis palm tree too.
You think that's a penis? I guess it is a penis, isn't it? I didn't notice that, Ivan. Yeah. Our hashtag this week was Moisten a Movie, and people had really disgusting, funny jokes. So it was When Harry Wet Sally, Rain Spotting, Monty Python and the Holy Pail, and more Moisten a Movie this week. And then our main one to start the game off was Reservoir Clogs. And people should play. You know, we take the top 50 and we put them up on the site, and it's every Wednesday at 11 a.m. We play with this group called the hashtag Roundup. And then we have the Humorist Shop. We have some great stuff in the shop. We have a T-shirt that I'm wearing right now. You should buy the T-shirt in the shop. And we have some books in the shop. Some of the newest titles we have at the from the Humorist Books. Lisa Strada, Dumb Jokes for Smart Folks, and Ron Hagee's cartoon book, The Expletive Year in Review by Ron Hagee. People need to go get that. And that's the whole issue. But I want to talk about, number one, let's talk about Josh's experience with the outdoor trampoline basketball hoop. So what happened, Josh? What inspired? What was the story behind this article?
Yeah, so we had this, my son wanted this trampoline. We installed like 4 years ago, and it was great. And he's a basketball player, so he wanted this hoop on his on the trampoline so he could make all these highlight reel dunks and over his friends and everything. And I put it off because I'm just not good at assembling anything. And finally, you know, I relented and I gave in, and I ordered it on the Amazon. It was like $100, and it comes in this box with like 52 pieces. And the instructions were, I'm not kidding you, written in a way that I, as an English speaker, I could not follow. They were written in English, but I could not follow them. The illustrations were just incomprehensible. And I was just like, I already started cursing before I even took the stuff out of the box. And I was like, I'm incapable of doing this. This is going to lead to divorce. I'm not going to have custody of my kids if I try to install this. So I just preemptively called our handyman who can put together bathrooms and kitchens and you can lay carpet and everything. And he's a Spanish-speaking guy. And it didn't occur to me at the time that if I can read English and I can't follow the instructions, how can a Spanish-speaking person do that? Like, it's not possible. So he started to do it, and I ran an errand, and when I came back, the thing was assembled, but it was assembled incorrectly. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. Now, not only do I have to install it, I have to disassemble it and then reassemble it correctly. And I was like, oh. So this morning I go outside, and it's raining, and it's Vietnamese humid outside. There's mosquitoes that are just gigantic, and they're just killing me. And I'm yelling at this tree next to me, like, I'm asking the tree if it can read the directions. I'm just so frustrated. I'm like, my poor neighbors have a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and I've given them words they've never heard of before. So, you know, I'm yelling across. I don't want to repeat the words that it said, but
were they Anglo-Frisian words?
They were not good words. They were not, you know, they were not the words that preschoolers need to hear. So I'm sweating. I've got mosquito bites. My legs look like the Braille dictionary. They're just covered in mosquito bites. I'm just pissed off. I take a walk, come back, I have a coffee. I finally get the stupid thing assembled, and my son comes home. He dunks on it one time and it breaks. Yeah. So then I was like, you know what? Sometimes I have to write the pieces, and sometimes the pieces write themselves.
So is this going back to Amazon?
Yeah, basically. And you know, I tried again. I got his help, and it's been about 4 hours, and the thing is still up. So far so good. But you know, it's funny because you realize you probably have a little bit more ingenuity than you believe you do if you just believe in yourself. And if you have a tree available to listen to you, just go off. And
did you end up with extra parts? I always end up with extra parts with those things. Like there'll be like a pile of things, and I'm like, look at that! I didn't even need all the parts. I'm so talented.
Marty, it's 100%. And you know what? I used all the parts, but I was concerned because the handyman who installed it, I thought that there was an Allen wrench set that came with it, and I didn't have that anymore. So I thought he took it. Turns out that he didn't, and I was able to assemble the thing. But
that's good.
I told him I'm never doing anything like this again. So make the most of it. And
he's like, next time when you call me, I want you to be redoing your bathroom. I'm not putting together
like,
trampoline basketball hoops.
Look, we'll build this a built-in screened-in porch. I don't care, but I'm not doing this. This is stupid.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, so good. Well, I'm glad at least you got a hilarious article out of it.
Right. It took about 72 hours to put the thing together and 5 hours to write it. So there you go.
Did you copy and paste this article as your review at Amazon?
You should.
That's a great idea. I mean, I should totally do that. I
think you should.
Yeah, because they said you only need one person to install this. I'm like, if the person's 8 feet tall with 9-foot arms, because you have to reach multiple sides of the trampolines. I mean, the whole thing is stupid, but it's over, I think.
So this is something that is attached to an existing trampoline that you owned already.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. And it's a great thing if you just have a lot of beer.
What, the trampoline? Just period? A trampoline is good if you have a lot of beer? Yeah.
The basketball hoop is really good if you have a lot of beer, and then it doesn't look crooked after you install it. Yeah.
Just to get drunk enough till you get tilted and go.
If you run, is it like I'm picturing like it's like the mascots at the basketball games in halftime, like running and jumping on a trampoline and then flipping around and then doing like a dunk. Is it similar to that? Like you're jumping on a trampoline? Is it a full size trampoline?
Yeah, it's a full size trampoline. My son is like 5'4", and he can do like windmill dunks on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's great. He's not going to get any scholarship offers or anything, but it's fun.
Maybe he can make cool videos for TikTok or whatever the kids do.
Well, that's
maybe fun. A scholarship offer to be one of the guys you're talking about, Marty? The sidekicks? Who are the people that dress up like in a costume and do the jumps?
The mascots.
The mascots.
Yeah. They could be like a high school mascot that does the trick shots.
Yeah.
It always seems so scary.
It's good to have a future, right?
It seems very scary. Like, did you guys see Succession when Cousin Greg is in the mascot in the first episode?
No.
And he's throwing up because he's high and the kids are all bothering him and he's wearing like a character outfit at like a pretend like Disneyland. Oh, it's so funny. But also very exciting that we're getting to talk about is Ivan Eller's new cartoon is dropping on what's the name of the comic? What's the name of the app that people need to get, Ivan?
Oh, it is called Pocket Comics, and it has dropped, baby. It came out yesterday, and it's so cool. It's so great. It's a pretty easy app to download. It's called Pocket Comics, and it's one of these like long scrolling. Oh, hey, you got that up there. Perfect.
We have the trailer. Let's play the trailer.
Yeah. That'll explain better than I ever could.
Real quick. So this is what's the name of the show here? It's called D.D. Sawyer.
Yeah, D.D. Sawyer Ghoul Destroyer.
All right. Let's see for this one.
Marty, you were prepared.
I know, right?
There's funny sounds on here. Dwing, dwing, dwing. Just imagine funny sounds. Yeah, there it is. D.D. Sawyer Ghoul Destroyer.
Ooh. Start reading now. Pocket Comics. Can you guys not hear the sounds? I can hear the sounds, but maybe you guys can't.
Can you hear them, Josh?
No, I can't hear.
Well, I'll describe it. There's noises, they're funny. There's horn noises, they're good. So she can see the ghouls, and she can destroy them. So she's like a little superhero.
Yeah. Yeah, and it came out yesterday, and basically it's like a 2-week trial where normally you have to pay for these comics, but it's a 2-week thing where they're all free. So we released 20 episodes, and this is something we've been working on for like 7 months. So it's been a very long time. I'm very excited to finally let other people see it, so people no longer think I'm just lying about like having a source of income.
That's great, Ivan. Congrats.
Oh, thank you.
How long is each episode?
it's a scroller, so you scroll down your phone on it, and like the actual dimensions would be like 2.5 inches wide by like 200 inches. So it's a really long, instead of a traditional comic where it's a full rectangular page.
The panels.
Yeah, you would have panels like this. This is like one continuous panel. Cool. So it's really long, and you scroll through. But I would say each episode translates to probably like 1/5 of a full comic or something like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I encourage all of your followers to go download Pocket Comics, look up D.D. Sawyer Ghoul Destroyer, and love it.
And they can get the app on their iPhone or Android phone, and they can get the Pocket Comics. They can go to Pocket Comics Official.
Oh yeah,
and they can check it out and see all the
yeah. So typically, up to this point, most of the comics on this platform have been Korean or Japanese manga comics that were translated into English.
Okay.
And so those ones that they have at the top are the new ones that we've done that are kind of American originals, and I think most of them are adaptations from young adult fiction. But hey, they're YA. And but mine is all original, and I've got working with the editor that I worked with at Mad Magazine. And, yeah, that's how I got introduced to this world, and so it was an easy transition working with Rebecca Bohannon over there. We were working with her every day, and then all of a sudden there was no more original content at Mad, so got a new job here. Actually, it's a lot of people at DC I think are coming over to Pocket Comics, so that's
great.
It's the future.
It is the future. That's exciting. And then this is going to hopefully also turn into, I mean, maybe this could be a TV show, this D.D. Ghoul Destroyer.
Yeah, I wrote the whole thing. Like, this might be boring, but it could be interesting.
No, nothing could be more boring than just me talking about my Inspector Gadget doll. So there's no, like, that's the threshold that we're at. So you're going to do great.
If people are paying $1,200 for an Inspector Gadget, people are very excited about that.
$2,500 for an Inspector Gadget. Not me. I didn't, but other people.
But people are interested in it. But so for this is a minor aside, but for like D.D. Sawyer Ghoul Destroyer, in initially pitching the project, we had to kind of pitch the whole overview of the whole season, like 48 episodes. And so I kind of wrote it out like, just like a little synopsis for each episode, what it would be. And I kind of wrote it like an 8-sequence movie. So it would be perfectly made into a movie. And
that's fantastic. It's good that you have like a rough draft of a TV pitch, basically, or like a multi-season pitchable show. Because now you could go in and be like, here's the first 6 seasons of D.D. Sawyer Ghoul Destroyer, and people who are just eating up new content because they need new animated content on, the plethora of platforms that are out there right now.
Absolutely, man. But I encourage you to check it out. I think
we will check it out.
If you like Inspector Gadget, you'll love D.D. Sawyer.
If this guy likes Inspector Gadget, he'll watch anything. Probably true. Probably.
The bad guy has claws.
It's true. I like anything that's like, it's funny because I started my television, my adolescent consumption of media was Scooby-Doo and Inspector Gadget. Like, I love procedurals because of that. Like, that's the formula I understand and respond to. So I watched it in cartoon form, and then I'll watch it on CSI or whatever. But like, I love that. Like, that's like the stages of that kind of television is what I gravitate towards. There has to be a case. They had to solve something, like Encyclopedia Brown, like any of those things has to be. Otherwise, I lose interest 100%. I'm out.
I wonder how many of those people that watched those as kids are the same people who grew up and they just felt like comfy and familiar.
Yeah, they're like, hey, I think I'm going to go work at or watch, 1,000 episodes of Law and Order just because I like the formula of Law and Order so much. So I wanted to talk. So congratulations, Ivan. Everybody has to go do Pocket Comics. Go to Pocket Comics _official on Instagram and download the app on Android or iTunes, and check out the tons of originals that they have at the Pocket Comics.
They have a huge amount of stuff. I mean, there's literally something for everyone. But
every week so far that we've done a humorist hangout, I've asked people what they've watched this week in the comedy world, and we've talked about whatever TV or movies that they've discovered that they recommend. So, what do you guys recommend that you were into this week in the television? I can tell you. I'll go first. So I became completely obsessed with Only Murders in the Building, which is the Steve Martin Short Hulu show, which is so funny. It is also like a murder mystery, and it has Martin Short and Steve Martin, and they're so funny. And Selena Gomez is in it, and she's funny because she's like she's the straight guy, and they're like the goofballs, and she plays it so like chill, like she's such a chill character, and they're both like totally manic and crazy. So that's wonderful. I love that. So you guys need to watch that. Okay. What else am I watching that's good? I'm rewatching stuff. Succession. I'm rewatching Succession because that's going to start again. It's not funny, but it is funny, and there's parts of it that are incredibly violent. But Yellowstone is going to be coming back soon, so I have to watch the last season of that.
Yeah. I've been watching.
Ivan, what do you watch?
Been watching Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
You guys watch that show?
I want to watch that. Someone else told me to watch that.
It's one of those shows that like is like laugh out loud funny, and it feels like it's going to be a stupid show, and then it does something sincere and real, and it doesn't feel like, sometimes when people try to do that, it doesn't work. And it's like, what are you going to be? Are you going to be a funny show or a serious show? And this one really combines everything. It's a really good program, and I was laughing earlier when you were asking, like, what are we watching? Because I started getting back into Columbo. And I
love Columbo. Yes.
Columbo, man.
Columbo is great. Peter Falk is great.
I mean, the show is like, he won't even appear until like the second half of each episode when you already know who did everything.
That's why Columbo was such a cool show that was so different than, like, I would watch Murder, She Wrote, or I would watch everything, every 80s, 90s mystery show, like, I would watch. And the way that Columbo would do it, where you knew who the bad guy was at the beginning, like you got to see what they did, or you knew that they were bad, and it was about how is Columbo going to catch them. And he was so funny the way that he would zero in on the guy immediately. He knew who was bad, and then you had to kind of watch him. He would buddy up to them like they were their best friend, and it's like, oh, you're doing so much help. I really appreciate it. I hate to bother you. Just one more thing, though. Just before I leave, Mrs. Columbo would get on with me if I didn't ask about this. And it was great. It was great how he would uncover it. And then he was never so, like, he never gloated about it. He was always just, like, doing his job.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. It's so good. And, so much of that was from his influence. Like, I know he would describe like exactly what he thought they should do, and then he didn't want to know a lot of his lines, so it would be written down on the floor. So that's why, like, a lot of times he'd be like, geez, I don't know. How about this? So he'd be like reading his lines on the floor, so it would feel like fresh and
that's funny.
So good.
And then cartoonist Joe Detour.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
He did a whole like series of Columbo for the New Yorker, and it was so funny. It's so good. He did a whole illustrated thing because he got really into rewatching all the Columbos during lockdowns. And Columbo is it's also a very interesting TV format because it wasn't like a half an hour. It wasn't an hour. It was like an hour and a half television. Yeah. Which was it's so odd, and they would never do that now. But it was like late 70s, 80s. It was like this like hour and a half Saturday movie type thing that they would do, not every week.
Didn't Steven Spielberg direct like the pilot episode or something? I think it's one of those that he directed it. It was like, I can't remember what the name of the logic that he uses, but it's like, I'm going to look this up. Next time I'm going to have some things to say about Columbo.
Okay, we can talk about Columbo next time. Next Humorist Hangouts will be exclusively about Columbo. We had a Columbo article in Weekly Humorist 2 weeks ago. It was very funny and strange. And I was very excited about it because the writer had written me something that he submitted it. And then I was like, oh, this is great. He's like, oh, someone else already picked it up. I can have them take it down. And I was like, no, like, you don't have to do that. Just write me another Columbo article. And he wrote, like, it was like Columbo gets a tennis lesson. And it was really funny. And then I wrote him back and I was like, at the end of it was just him getting a tennis lesson. There wasn't any kind of crime. So I was like, can you add the end to this? Can you add a twist that he arrests the tennis instructor for some murder? And the whole thing with him having the lesson had nothing to do. It was just him warming up. It was just him warming up the suspect. And he was like, sure. He changed. He's like, this is perfect. And I was like, this is like a real Columbo episode now. Like he was just bothering this guy into like a false sense of security. And then he was like, oh, and by the way, what about this? And can I see your shoes, sir? Or something like that.
You know, they always told me I had spaghetti wrists. I don't know the forehand, the backhand.
Exactly. Mrs. Columbo says,
That's
my elbows are too pruny for this. She says the tennis is going to give me the weird pruny elbows.
Have his little dog there. Oh, man.
Oh,
what a good
dog.
program.
He had that, it was like a basset hound, and he had that old car, like that ridiculous, like Italian car that made no sense. He was always breaking down. And he was always like so like his clothes look so like just wrinkly, and he just like slept in his car. It's like, Columbo, what are you doing? And Columbo never had a first name. You never knew Columbo's first name. You never saw Columbo's wife. I love that kind of stuff. Like all the stuff that it created this mystique of Columbo. Wonderful, Peter.
What about you, sir? What programs have you been watching?
Yes, Josh Lorenzo.
Well, you know, we've been watching a lot of the old Law and Order, speaking of procedurals, and you know, it just cracks me up because what's really funny about those is the size of the cell phones.
Oh.
But you know, the last couple of nights I've just spent just going through this YouTube wormhole of old Norm Macdonald clips.
Yeah, man.
The stand-up stuff, like, and him on Conan, the moth joke that he told.
Yeah,
a 5-minute joke, and it's just so underrated. You know,
he's wonderful. Norm Macdonald's wonderful, and I know Ivan has he had met him a bunch of times, had meetings with him, had that signed DVD from Dirty Work.
That was a signed Laserdisc.
Laserdisc.
Wow. Yeah, he apologized that I paid money for it because, you know, this was like 10 years ago. I was going to see so much of his stand-up comedy. I just loved him. He would play like in Irvine a lot around here in LA, and I wrote a whole movie. It was supposed to be like starring him and Gilbert Gottfried, and it was just like, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Who's Josh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Josh, you turned your video off, so you disappeared.
It's like, I don't want to hear this bullshit. But so basically I wrote a whole movie for him that I wanted him to be in the lead, and went and met with him and his producer a few times, and he was so nice and like read it and like talked through it and said he liked this part and that part. Then was like, hey, I got to level with you. I don't like acting in movies. He's like, unless you could pay me like $50,000 a day.
Yeah.
I do it. I was like, how about $100 a day?
Yeah.
And so he was so nice. He's like, I'm a comedian. I do movie roles for friends. And he's like, this is not for me. I like going on stage. I don't like acting. I don't like this and that. This is very fun, but it's not for me. I was like, man.
But that was so kind of him to meet with you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to give you the FaceTime and to like, you know, to hear you out. Because a lot of people could have just been like, no, like, don't even write this guy back.
I pitched a movie to John Lovitz one time, and he was like, I'm going to stop you right there. You seem like a nice guy, but no one's going to give you money for me. If you get money, call my agent. If you get it funded, call my agent.
Yeah.
I don't care what it's about. No one's going to give you money. I'm sorry. Bye. And I was like, it's probably honest. I mean, he's probably tried to fund movies before, and it's just like.
And then you said, just kidding. That was acting.
Yeah. You know, in hindsight, I should have.
That would have been fun.
It would have made me look less stupid and gone.
But Josh, isn't Ivan cool? Ivan's not just like a cartoonist comedy writer. Like, he's going out and making movies. He's pitching crazy stuff. He's being so inventive and imaginative and being creative.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
This guy.
I've seen his stuff on your site all the time, but it's
Such a cool guy.
Face with a name.
Oh, man. Well, thank you, Marty. You enable me.
He's such a hip. He's like a hip Southern California dude, but like legit. He's like legit cool.
Yeah,
and
I've been telling people this for years. I'm glad someone finally believes it.
Oh, you know who I just saw? I just saw Courtney Kosak, who hung out with us the time that I hung out with you all day, and then we met up with her at the end of the day at the hotel where we were playing pool. Yeah. She was in town, and we got dinner downtown in Manhattan by FiDi, where the Weekly Humorist office.
That was a fun day.
That was a fun day. So she was just in town.
You were pitching a cartoon show then with.
I was pitching a big cartoon show for, and we sold it. We pitched all the major networks that we got meetings and all these great places. And Jonathan Ames, the very funny writer, Jonathan Ames from Bored to Death, he was on board to be the writer, and he had written a bunch of great stuff. And we had a great pitch deck with Augenblick Studios, and that was a great deal. And we sold it to TBS. And then it changed my life, and I was so happy. And then they said, "Hey, wait a second!" And then AT&T bought Time Warner, and they canned all the projects, and then all these people got fired, and da. And then nothing happened.
Yeah,
that's how it goes. But still, you know, just to get those meetings and to actually sell something is such a massive step.
It is. It was. It's funny. And that was like my first attempt at making any kind of a TV sale. Was that attempt? And on my first try, we sold it in the room. And then now I'm hearing from everybody in that world that's like, that never happens.
Never happens.
Nothing gets on TV, and everyone works their entire career to get like a meeting like that. And I was like, great, I peaked immediately, and now I'm done. So now I'm coming back stronger, and we have tons of other great ideas. We have 2 great ideas from Ivan in the pitch deck of wonderful shows. And then I have something I'm working on with Dave DeGrand and Kit that's very funny. And we have a bunch of we have Barfly, we have some animated stuff, we have a couple of live action things. So there's stuff happening. The old humorist media will be back in action on the TV screen.
You can do it.
I can do it. Well, this has been fun. We will have to all get together again soon and talk about issues. Weekly Humorist issues, that is. All right. I'll let you all get back to your lives and have a wonderful weekend. And thanks for hanging. And
thanks for the invite, Marty. I appreciate it.
Of course. Bye, all.
Always a pleasure. Nice meeting you, Josh.
All right. Bye. It's Ivan Ehlers and Josh Lorenzo here on
Go read my comic.
Go over to Pocket Comics and download Ivan's new cartoon. What's the name of the cartoon again, Ivan?
D.D. Sawyer, Ghoul Destroyer.
D.D. Sawyer, Ghoul Destroyer. Fantastic. Everyone go get it. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.